Hello everybody. Psalm 23, probably the most well-known chapter in the whole Bible. It's been set to music many times. You may have heard it read it at many a funeral. It's that kind of comfort, that kind of good news. But I want to give you two reasons why this psalm should be beloved to us. First, because of the striking juxtapositions in this psalm. What I mean is the things that are put next to each other that don't seem like they should go next to each other. I know that's what you've always thought when you've read Psalm 23. Gosh, this psalm is full of juxtapositions. Here is what I mean. The very first verse. The Lord is my shepherd. The word Lord there is in small uppercase letters. This is the divine name. The I am, the Lord. This God is my shepherd. Now you need to understand, shepherd was not this glamorous job. It was often the lower classes. And so you put these together. How amazing that this Lord, the Holy One of Israel, that he would be my shepherd, my king, my ruler, my God, my sovereign, okay, but my shepherd, that he would be out there watching, guiding, protecting. And then verse 5, it says that you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. What is he doing preparing a table? Preparing this feast when my enemies are around. That's not what you do when your enemies are around. You wield your sword. You turn up in your M1 Abrams tank in the presence of my enemies. You help me run away in the presence of my enemies. What are you doing preparing a table? Well, he feeds you. He fills your cup. He heals your wounds. What else would you want in the presence of your enemies? These striking juxtapositions. And then here is the second thing. The second reason we ought to love this psalm. And that is the way that Christ embodies the psalm. There are two dominant images of God in the psalm. You have the Lord as a shepherd. We know that. And then you have the Lord as a host. And Christ perfectly fulfills both. He is our shepherd, John 10. He feeds us. He knows us by name. He gives us rest for our souls. He is a shepherd. He is there to protect you, to carry you, to guard, to lead, to defend. And he knows when you need cool water. He knows when you need green pastures. And he is there to lead you. Christ perfectly fulfills this image. And he perfectly fulfills verses 5 and 6 as the host. You think of Jesus in John 13 to 16 in the upper room, that final meal. What does he do? He goes and he prepares a place. He says, go ahead, and you will find a man, and you will find a jar, and you will find this place, and you're going to find this person, and he is an upper room, and I have prepared for you. You ever think of Jesus exercising hospitality? He did. And chiefly so on the night he would be betrayed. Hours before his crucifixion, he went to prepare a place. And what did he do? He started by saying, let me wash your feet for you. Let me be a host to you. Let me be a servant to you. Let me welcome you. It's Jesus Christ saying, welcome, come on in. Let me take your coat. Can I get you a drink? There to prepare a place. And here is the amazing thing about Christ, that at that Last Supper, he is not only the host of the meal, but he is the meal. In John 6, he says, unless you feast of my body, unless you drink of my blood, you have no part of me. This is no ordinary host. This even supersedes what David was speaking of and fulfills it in a great sense, that Christ would come and not only prepare a table before our enemies, but he would prepare a table for his enemies. that while we were yet sinners, Christ would die for us, that while we had nothing but enmity towards him, he would prepare a meal for us. And not just a meal, but he would give his life to be the meal. The Lord is our shepherd, and the Lord is our host. And so with those two pictures, we come to verse 6. The last verse of the psalm, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I remember seeing a cartoon one time. I remember it not being very funny, but it was a Christian cartoon. But it had a woman named Michelle or whatever, and it had two dogs following her. One was called Goodness, and the other one was named Mercy. And it was like they were following me all the days of my life. And she couldn't get away from them, or something like that. I remember it because it has always sort of been a nice word picture for me. Those of you who have dogs, you know how it is. You just get home, or you go visit someone who does have a dog, and they're like, and you're like, oh, he's fine. Meanwhile, he's up in your face, and you're on the ground, and you're like, oh, he's a friendly dog, and he just goes everywhere. Well, I think of these dogs, Goodness and Mercy. You think of a happy golden retriever who is just panting, just so glad to see you. You think of the movie Up, yes, master. And he's just bouncing around, so happy to see his master, and he's just so happy to see him. Goodness and mercy. These two happy dogs are just not letting you out of their sight. All your days, wherever you go, wherever you go, they're just there, just like a dog. There they are, goodness and mercy. They're still following me. You're going through the worst time. You're going through hardship, stress, anxiety, loneliness. You're wandering through these dark valleys in your life. You just look around and there is the dog. Still the Lord's goodness and the Lord's mercy. This is such a sweet psalm. It is sweet for all the reasons that we have in our cultural imagination, but it's also for so many deeper reasons. Not least of which is that Christ, we see, is our good shepherd. He is our everlasting sacrificial host with the meal of his own body.